Hi, today I want to make a project using some of the supplies that came from the Summer Sunset Mystery Box. We got some great stuff in this one. We got insert cards and we got markers and we got a card mat for the bigger machines like the Explorer and Maker series. And I'm going to also show you a couple other small tips while we're at it, just because they're things that I needed to do anyway. One of the things I needed to do was I need to change the blade in my Maker. I haven't done that in a while. So to do that, we just open the machine, you take out your blade carriage, and here's your blade holder. You just push this button over here on the end and it'll push the blade forward. Then you can pull your blade out. And then you grab your new one and take this cover off and you just drop it in. And that's ready to go. Then you just put it back in and latch it shut. And I always put my little cover back on my old blade so that when I throw it out, nobody gets poked. I can tell you from experience, I've never had one of these blades draw blood. You gotta poke it pretty hard to do that. Okay, and then we'll set that aside. Now we also need to turn on our machine. Let's see if I can get it just a little bit closer. Now you'll notice that my power light is white. I'm gonna be using my iPad today, which I don't do often, so bear with me. Because of that, that means my connection needs to be set up for Bluetooth. So you're going to open your settings and you're going to go to Bluetooth and you're going to look for your machine. And here's my Maker 3 right here. I'm going to tap on that so it connects. Now notice my light turned blue. Now in some cases that light might look purple, but it's blue. Okay, now we're going to close that. Now we're good to go. We're set up. And I'm going to open up Design Space. And I'm going to set that aside for a minute. What I'm doing today is a design that I set up earlier. So I'm going to go to my stuff that's down here at the bottom, and I'm going to go to projects. This is my project right here. I'm going to tell it I want it to customize just so I can show you a few things while we're at it. Okay, there you go. Now these are all blue, but I'm not actually going to make all of these cards blue. I'm going to do 2 in blue, 1 in red, and 1 in green. Those are the colors that are in this particular card pack. These cards are the square S40 cards. Keep in mind that when you make square cards, if you are going to mail them, they will cost you extra postage. Okay, we need 4 of these inserts. And I'm going to do 1 green card, 2 blue cards, and a red card. Okay, and then I'm also going to need 4 envelopes. Okay, and then we can put these back. Get everything out of our way. Okay, we won't need the envelopes for a while. And the inserts go in last, so I also don't need those right now. And then these markers also came in this particular mystery box. I love these markers. They show up so nice on dark paper. I'm going to be using the silver today. Only 2 of these cards have writing on them, but we will be using the silver. So we need that and our cards. And now let's go back over to Design Space. So what I've done is I added a shape that was a square and then I changed it to a guide. And on these insert cards, you want to go whatever size it says the insert is. And in this case, it says the insert is 4.5 by 4.5. So I made my guide square 4.5 so I would know how big I could make my design. That one looks a little too big, it's just not centered. So I did 4 of those because I'm going to do all 4 cards at the same time. Now I made myself a note. In order to get all 4 of them to cut out on the same mat, they need to be the same color. But I wanted to use different colors. So I just made myself a little note saying which one of these I wanted to be what color. Okay, so now we'll go to Make It. And I'm going to hit Next. It's telling me this is an R40 card, so I need to change that here. And I'm going to change that to an S40 card. Okay, and this one, for some reason, it's putting it on a different mat. So I'm going to move object, and I'm going to tell it to put it over here on this one. Now, are we all good? Yeah, it's got all 4 separate cards. All right, so it's putting, let me close this so I can make sure you guys can see everything. All right, don't forget to take these off. And I have a tip for you. When I get these, I usually cut them in half. That way, if I'm not doing all 4 cards, I don't have to uncover my entire mat. Okay, so the first card over here on the left is the rose card. I want to make that one in red. Now what you want to do is you want to slide this card in and scoot it up as high as you can get it to go. Like push it. And you want it to go all the way to the right as far as it will go. And then lay your card down. It's a brand new mat, so you probably don't want to push very hard or you'll have a hard time getting it off. Okay, and then the sunflower card that's down here at the bottom, that one I wanted in blue. So we will do the same thing. We'll open our card and we'll slide it under that upper area, push it all the way to the top, all the way to the right, and smooth it down. Now this thank you with the circle on it, I wanted to do in blue. So that means this top card is going to be blue. Same thing, all the way to the right, all the way to the top. And then that means that this bottom one is my green card. So we're going to put this one all the way in to the right and all the way to the top. And you kind of want to tug them a little bit just to make sure that it didn't, you know, twist on you a little bit. Okay. Now our mat is all set up and I can move my note. I want to look at this one more time just to make sure everything's good. Some of these card mats are not perfect. You know, they're mass produced, so sometimes things don't go quite right. I found this to be more of an issue with the Joy rather than these bigger mats. But what you want to do is you want to look at the top of your card. Go from the very top of your card to the very top edge of this mat. That spacing needs to be exactly 1 inch. If it's not exactly 1 inch, then your card's going to cut off. So if you were using the little cutout corners, which I'm not today, you would find that they would be off center. And the Joy mats, I'm not sure if that works on this one or not, but on the little Joy mats, if you don't have an exact inch right there and you can't get your card up high enough to get that, try flipping, like this is right side up, try flipping it around and put your card in and see if you can get it to fit. And the same thing's probably true for these mats. Okay, now we're going to open this. Now I know it needs the silver marker, and that's probably going to be the very first card it does. You always want to grab yourself a little scratch paper and scribble a couple of times to make sure that the pen is writing. You drop it in the holder and push until it clicks. I'm sure you heard that click. And then clamp it shut. Now I'm going to tell Design Space next. Okay, now is where I'm going to choose what I'm using for material. I'm going to go to All Materials and I'm going to search for Insert. Insert card, cardstock. Okay, and it's telling me to load my silver metallic pen and my fine point blade and my mat, and then press the load button. Now what I like to do is I come in slow. You want to be up against this left edge right here. So come against the, oh, big tip here guys. These little star wheels have to be moved when you're using this mat. So you want your little star wheels to all be in the very center. Let me move my carriage over. If you haven't moved these before, they can be kind of stiff and hard to move, but they will move. Let me get my mat up here so that I can see exactly where they need to go. Because what you want is you want all 4 of these little star wheels, which I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, that looks good. You want all 4 of these little wheels to ride down the center. You do not want them to hit your cards. And that looks pretty even to me. Okay, now I'm going to push this mat up against my rollers and then kind of lift it in the back so I'm giving it a little bit of pressure forward, and then I'm going to hit the load button. And as you can see, my rollers are all going right down the center, which is perfect. And it does tell you on your screen, right here, there's a line that will tell you to move your star wheels to the center. Now my go button is flashing, play button, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to tap that, and we will let it go. Be real careful when you guys are using this big card mat on your big machine. With the regular 12 by 12 mats, you only need about 10 inches of space behind your machine. But with these mats, you need closer to 17 inches behind your machine. And if this mat hits something, it will definitely mess up your project. That was why I moved out into my dining room, because I don't have room to move my normal Maker 4 out of the way far enough for this card mat to fit. Oh, see, I can already see something went wrong. I'm going to hit pause, and I can tell you exactly what I did wrong. See how it's drawing this too low? That was my fault, because on my previous screen on here, I did not move these cards up. So I'm going to hit cancel again. Okay, now I'm going to take each one of these designs and I'm just going to scoot it up as far as it'll go. Okay, this one for some reason doesn't want to move. So let's back up and let's see what's wrong with this one. It looks okay. Let's move it to this one. Change it back to the S40. Okay, there we go. Now they're all up where they went. So I think what happened is I forgot to change the card size at the top over here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am just going to pull this card off and grab another one. I like to show you guys mistakes because even for a seasoned crafter, mistakes are going to happen. And this is the case of I don't do this from my iPad very often. So I forget some of the finer details, like making sure I've picked the right card size in both places. Okay, now again, we'll put it up at the top and slide it over to the right. Okay, now we're good. All right, so we need to change over to insert again. So I'm just gonna search for insert. And I'm going to choose that. And again, it's reminding me to move my star wheels, and it's telling me to load my silver pen, which we already loaded, and then to load my mat. Make sure all my cards are stuck down. Make sure I'm under both guides, pushed all the way to the left. Lift the back of my mat and hit the load button. And then hit the start button. That little mishap, by the way, is exactly why I don't walk away from my machine until after I make sure everything's moving properly. Though I don't generally walk away from my machine anyway. And I can tell by looking at it, it's drawing in the proper place this time. Now, as I mentioned before, these are designs that I found in Design Space, and then I just added all four so I could do them all at the same time. Normally, these would have a little cutout in the four corners, and then these little insert pieces would tuck into those four corners. I tend to not like that as much for some of these cards. So on this one, I deleted those little corners on each of these, and I'm just going to glue this to the back. And for that, I'm going to use my precision glue gun from my Sweet Petunia. I love this thing. So we'll get that ready. And I will squeeze out just a little bit of glue just to make sure it's not clogged. Put it back in the holder while I wait. As you guys can see, it did that drawing pretty fast. There's a lot of cuts on these cards, so this might take a little bit. And I should probably also give you a little tip on the markers. So I know you'll hear everybody tell you to always store your pens upside down. It keeps the ink towards the tips. I find that that's really only true with my gel pens. I use alcohol markers and all sorts of things, and most of those have tips on both ends. So if you stored them in one direction or another, your ink would settle to one end and then your other end would be dry. So I tend to store markers and any other pen that's not a gel pen flat. I just store them horizontally, and that way the ink usually stays pretty well distributed. If you do pick up one of these markers and you find it's not drawing real well, you can flip it upside down for a little while you're setting all your stuff up so that the tip is pointed down to make sure that all your ink settles at the bottom. But you do want to be careful storing these markers that way, because I have had these stored upside down before and had them actually leak into the caps. So on this particular set of cards, I like to just have some thank you cards in my stash because I occasionally need them for something. And because I don't know what I'm going to use them for, I've left the inside of these blank. You can, however, set up another project with your sentiments that you would put inside, set it up the exact same way that these fronts are set up. And you can take these cards and basically turn them inside out and put them back in the mat and print your insides too, or draw your insides, as the case may be. I have done that quite a bit. I just chose not to do that on these so that they would be more generic for whatever purposes I might need. And so far, it looks like all of our cuts are good as well. It doesn't look like anything cut off the edges. These two bottom cards didn't have quite as many things to cut out, so they'll probably cut just a little bit faster than the top ones did. And while this is cutting out, just in case anybody's curious, this precision glue press comes with two of these bottles. It has one fine tip and one a little bit thicker tip. Both are pretty fine. You can fill the bottle with any glue you want. I usually use art glitter glue or barely art glue, but I've also grown really fond of the glue put out by Cosmic Shimmer, and I just put a sticker on the back so I know what it is. I have several of these bottles now. I ordered some blanks so that I could fill them with the glues that I used most and then just swap them out as needed. Almost done. First thing I'm going to do is pull my pin out so that I can put my cap back on. And I'll put that away. By the way, I love these new boxes that Cricut's using. So they have a little slot back here, and then on the flap there's like a tab. So it just sits down in that slot and makes these so much easier to open. Okay, I'm going to hit my eject button. And I'm going to close up my machine. And we'll go over here to the iPad and tell it, well, I guess we won't tell it it's done because it knows it's done. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my machine off. Now, we want to pull these up very carefully. We don't want to tear our design. And it looks like it cut through beautifully. So glad I changed my blade, because to be honest with you, I can't remember when I changed it last. I've been using my new Maker 4, so this one has just kind of been sitting. You know what I really love about making these cards? All of your stuff sticks to the mat. So it kind of weeds your design for you. And I don't think I'm going to take these pieces off my mat right away. I might save these and then pick them up with some Glad Press and Seal and use them to make another set of cards in reverse with this on top. Now this design on this rose is a bit more intricate, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more careful. And we have some pieces here that we're going to need to glue in place when we're done. at how pretty that is. Okay, so on this one, we have a center to our O and our A if we choose to use them. And then there's a little center vein on these two leaves that we may need to pick up and put back. In the meantime, I'm going to take my covers and I'm going to kind of fold them in half. Grab my scissors. Now you know which side to put down because the side that's shiny goes against the matte and the side that's kind of a matte look goes up. Cover these up. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to go ahead and cover up this rose as well, just for now. Okay, now let's move the mat out of the way. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to glue in our insert pieces. So I'm going to carefully unfold my card. Let's see. Oh, look how pretty that is, guys. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we don't want to put glue on the insert piece. We want to put glue on the inside of the card so that you don't have glue showing through your design. And let's see, it goes right up to the edge and then not quite to the front. And I will just get a little bit of glue on all of these little pieces so that it stays down. And the same thing with these little leaves. Some of this is probably going to push out, so we'll just try to tidy it up before it has a chance to dry. Okay, this should be good. And now this has a little bit of a texture to it, kind of like a crocodile skin. I love wet glue. It gives you a chance to make adjustments. And this glue will dry clear, but if you catch it while it's wet like this, you can pretty much just rub it off. Okay. And some of it did squeeze out. We got a little bit thick on these little fine points. I can usually rub them off with my fingernail. Or you could use a little piece of tissue and come back later and wipe them out. And even if I had done the little corners on these and tucked that back piece in to hold it on, I still would have added glue in some of these smaller areas just so that it wasn't like flappy. As you can see, it comes off pretty easy while it's still not quite dry. That's one nice thing about this particular set of inserts. This piece in here is really shiny, so it makes it easy to peel the glue off of it. Okay, I'll come back and tidy that up later. Okay, now let's try our other one here. Okay, so same thing. This one looks like it comes right up to this edge. I'm going to try to use a little less glue on these smaller spots, see if we can keep it from squishing so much. Okay, that should be good. Can't accuse me of being a good gluer. Okay. Oh, see, that's much better. We didn't have any squish this time. Except for right here on this A. I just love that particular insert. The texture is really cool too. Okay, now onto this green one. Okay, this one looks like the placement is about the same. I'm just kind of doing the same thing. I'm just going to come in and try to hit some of these spots in the middle just so it stays down nicely. This glue dries pretty fast, so I don't have a whole lot of working time. Okay, I think I got that one pretty good. You can see I have one little spot right here. You guys probably aren't going to be able to see this, but I'm just going to put a little tiny dot of glue on that piece that wants to stick up. There we go. See how nice that one turned out too. Okay, and then for the last one. Now the points on this one are really small, so I want to be careful because this one's really going to gush out if I'm not. This one might actually be my favorite. Okay, there you go. So there you go. That's how you make some insert cards using your bigger machines like the Maker and the Explorer series. Hope you enjoyed, and I will put a link to this project in the description under the video. Happy crafting!